Welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. That time we woke up in a podcast and had to explain manga. Our heated adventures over analyzing manga we find interesting. I don't know why I read this in a seductive voice, because this time we are reading Berserk, the Golden Age arc, perhaps the most damaging and psychologically traumatic arc. Surprising to say that, it is Berserk to date. So, chapters 9 through 16. Grow with us, cry with us, the tragic backstory of Guts.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. My name is Sam, and as always, here at the top of the show, we talk about what our familiarity with the franchise we read this week is. We are returning to the hideous, blood-soaked horrors of Berserk, and really I haven't done too much in particular with Berserk since, but I'm a FromSoft fanboy, I by like association, kind of. Jacob, how about you?
Nothing for me. I just didn't really get around to it. Kind of be in the right headspace for Berserk.
And how? Matt, how about you?
Not really my vibe, so I didn't really have any chance to check it out. I thought really hard about playing the Band of the Hawk game, but I heard it was bad, so I didn't.
And Jay.
Yeah, so aside from there being Berserk controversy in my Twitter feed, I have not engaged with the series further. Surprise, this series has been out for like over 30 years. I don't know why people are outraged about it now.
Stop talking about Twitter. It's dead now. We live in the blissful future where all social media has died. If you're currently, that's not the reality you live in. Pause the episode for 5-10 years, maybe.
One can only hope.
It'll get there in time. We return to Berserk, and wow, what a friggin' way to start off this reading.
Yep.
The dead body tree.
Yeah.
That's
Yay!
not even the worst part. Because, yes, there's a hanging tree with multiple bodies dangling from it.
All women.
Yeah, they all appear to be in advanced states of decay until you notice one of them isn't. One of them's still relatively fresh. So fresh, in fact, that baby just fell out.
That's called birth, Sam.
I don't know what this is called, but I don't want to call it that.
Yeah, I feel like I would be saying something very bad about the act of birth by associating it with this.
So you see, once the body dies and like releases all of its like muscles, like things just like fall out.
You do void your bowels when you die, Sam.
It's in my Dodoria wounds. Anyway.
We're really earning the explicit mark for this episode already.
I mean, that's literally what happens.
Yeah. Well, where is the joke here?
There is no joke here. This is how Guts was born. There he is on the ground. Umbilical cord just still attached. Just
in a pool of muddy blood.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And a mercenary band happens to be wandering by, and the leader is like, "Damn, that's fucked up." Anyway,
hey, boss. That your girlfriend over there, she's holding that baby. Yeah, she just had a miscarriage. She's being real weird about it. Gambino, what the fuck, man?
That's the usual reaction to almost everything Gambino says and does, as it turns out.
Uh-huh.
I love the level of, like, his subordinates are willing to say, Gambino, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. I know we live in a dark fantasy world where human kindness is in short supply, but you know, it's a little unnecessarily callous to have a man ask you, "Hey, that kid that was miscarriage, that would have been yours, right? How the hell should I know?" The woman, Shisu, I think that's how you pronounce her name, she goes to retrieve the small baby from the puddle. And Gambino's like, "It's already dead. Leave it alone." And causes the baby to be dropped and start crying. It's like, no, kid's still alive.
This is the person who will ultimately become our Guts from the Black Swordsman arc. And Guts doesn't die.
I also want to point out, there is no question this is Guts. Because that boy has the exact same hairstyle he will have for the rest of his life. at literally Like 2 days old.
Boy came out of the womb with that cut, and he will keep it forever.
Also, it's funny that his name is Guts because he literally came out of some guts.
Technically, everyone comes out of some guts.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not this way, hopefully.
I would hope so.
Shisu is insistent on keeping the baby because she has a fraction of humanity in her, I guess.
She's also grieving.
There is definitely the aspect of her grieving, and she had just experienced a miscarriage. It's a traumatic event for anybody. But I do also think that there's an intentional juxtaposition of the way that Gambino takes it as being simply that, and then again, there's like a what the hell Gambino reaction from everyone else, where it's like, yeah, but like you could just not leave the baby behind. That's also an option.
So that is an option, and that is the right thing to do. And first of all, great Gambino line. He's just like, you know what? I don't care. Let her have the toy.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, don't. Gambino.
Dang, they're like literally a mercenary group, and this is another mouth to feed. Mercenaries don't exactly,
They're not known for their compassion.
Yeah, not known for their compassion, and depending on how successful they are, I don't know how often they get booked for gigs, right?
Well, they do children's birthday parties, so really, that's where you start, and then you work your way up to...
Then you work your way up to sieging castles.
I'm just saying, I don't think I'd be hiring these guys for any birthday parties.
Well, convenient they live in dystopian grimdark fantasy land where nameless kingdoms are always going to war with other nameless kingdoms.
Yeah, so business do be booming in the mercenary.
Well, then he's just
sector.
cheap. That changes my opinion of him.
Yeah.
You guys are just cheap.
Gambino is unnecessarily cruel, yes.
Yes. I do also, it's worth noting, I do also like, this is, air quotes, the golden age. Some golden age. There aren't demons running around. That's about the only positive I can say.
That's a pretty big positive, Jacob.
It is a pretty big positive, but it's still a never-ending font of human misery all the same, which is obviously very intentional.
I also love how each of the end of chapter pages is a full panel of art with typically something horrifying. And then the golden age, 1, 2, 3. I'm just like,
yep.
Well,
it's almost as if golden ages are never as good as you remember them to be.
See, I remember that people weren't being eviscerated by demons across every single road, so
yeah, it was people instead.
I just like how we have this whole thing of like, oh, I guess we're going to get to see, Shisu's and Guts' relationship with something about them. Immediate next page turn. Cut to 3 years later. Shisu is dying from plague.
She is melting from plague.
Maybe you shouldn't be playing around with a bunch of dead bodies beneath the corpse tree if you don't want to catch the plague.
Maybe.
That's insanity.
Nah, you just need to get rid of the miasma.
But Gambino's off fighting in a siege, so he's not here on her deathbed. And instead, little 3-year-old Guts goes up and holds his surrogate mother's hand as she dies. Whew.
But in the dark fantasy.
Yeah.
Not that was ever in question for Berserk, but, another one for the list.
Wait, no, that's not a surrogate mother. A surrogate mother is the lady who died.
She's not a surrogate mother. She is the biological mother.
She's the adoptive mother.
Shisu is
She's not a surrogate mother. She raised him to 3 years old. A surrogate would be like a in between.
Yeah, but you said the surrogate was the woman who died.
Well, both of them die.
Yes.
They're there to make sure 3-year-old Guts gets to do crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get the trauma per page quotient.
Yes.
I will say, I do appreciate this about Berserk. We are making jokes, but like in the reading, it's very much not just like trauma dumping.
Oh yeah, no, it comes off as very natural, and it comes off as being painful. Both painful for the characters and like Guts has this dead look in his eyes as he's holding Shisu's hand while she dies. And like, I get it, because like this is his every goddamn day. Of course he can't drum up any more tears. At 3, he's already cried out, everything he's got.
Yeah, because this was not a quick death by any means.
You know, like obviously in a summary format, it's easy to make jokes about it, but like I think one thing that's really cool about Berserk is, you know, there are so many series that will leverage tragedy or leverage dark imagery or dark concepts for the sake of shock value, you know, for the sake of, you know, getting internet famous. Look at this scene that happened in this, you know, in this series. But like Berserk actually lives in that world naturally. And it makes this, you know, it makes the scenes where these sorts of things happen both extremely natural and all roll into each other in a way that is like painfully mundane. These are just things that happen.
I get you, Jacob. Murata really should have played up the drama for Twitter clout. Gotcha.
No. While we contemplate that horrible reality, the horrible reality that Guts is living in is another 3-year time skip, where we have now 6-year-old Guts helping out on the battlefield of the siege.
My man Guts killed a man at the age of 6.
Earliest child committing a murder on a battlefield I've seen in recent memory, but
pretty close. Because there's a cavalry charge at the line, and Guts hands Gambino a spear to impale one of the riders, and the corpse falls on top of little Guts, just like entrails in his face, like, ugh. And Gambino's like, "You were too slow handing me that spear. I'm gonna crack you across the face with it."
And what the hell, Gambino? Shouts the chorus.
Gambino just, you know, going on a rant about how if you're not up to snuff to be here on the battlefield, you're just going to get yourself killed, and I don't need to be looking out for you. Damn Shizu picking up this pesky little bastard, blah blah blah, as Guts is picking a tooth out that was knocked out by the butt of the spear. Like, holy shit.
Technically
It's
a
like
baby.
a baby. Yeah.
That makes it so much better. Oh wait.
Yeah, it does.
You can lose 36 more of those. 35 more of those.
Yeah.
I don't know how many teeth people have.
Enough.
Enough, yeah. We learn where Guts got his penchant for using swords that are too damn big, because we see that he was being taught swordplay by Gambino at the age of 6, using a grown man's sword. So Guts has been using the Zweihander basically since day one, even if it wasn't the Zweihander for him.
They don't have baby swords. I mean, who has time for that?
Gambino even indirectly points that out after the sparring match. I really like this scene.
Yeah, Sam, what kind of nightmarish hellscape do you think this is that they would manufacture baby swords? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no, the babies are there to be eaten by horrifying monsters.
That's not the golden age.
Well, we're working up to it. But, you know, I really like this scene because Gambino is at his most Gambino the entire time through. Like, sort of a big moment is Guts actually, like, proves his worth, proves his skill. Gambino's training is actually working as he's able to land a hit on Gambino, at which point Gambino starts, like, savagely beating and cutting his face.
Yeah, I love this part because it's the like shonen nonsense, which Berserk isn't, but like that kind of thing of like, yeah, I've got a gruff older mentor who doesn't really understand children, so he trains me like he would a comrade. And it's only when I do exactly what he says and earn his respect by getting one up on him, then we can be seen as equals. And Gambino's just like, who told you to use a sword? And cuts him across the nose. Like,
wow, it's almost like Gambino is used to having too much power. So the instant he was defied in even the smallest way, it went from I have to make the kids strong to how dare you cut me.
But it's not like that, Sam, is the problem, because the other people who work for him are allowed to outright question him.
Yeah, it's specifically
Guts.
That's the problem. We'll find out later why.
Yeah.
But the other thing I really like about this scene is the way that the scene is initially presented. And like, you know, obviously this is not the totality of it, but the way the scene is initially presented is it's that shonen, you know, gruff mentor, trope, then it gets defied by Gambino going way too far. But then afterward, there are some bits of Gambino actually showing Guts a little bit more respect. Gambino, once Guts has left the space, saying, I knew he had it in him, stuff like that, like seeming to be actually encouraging. And it seems like, it's like, okay, maybe Gambino isn't so bad, actually. Like, he's got a temper, and that's a pretty big red flag. But, like, maybe there's something to this relationship between Guts and Gambino. Boy, that gets defied the more you learn about Gambino.
I mean, Gambino is a shitty guy, but he's a nuanced shitty guy, and I really appreciate Berserk for it. Normally, you only get nuance when you want to prove that someone's not really a shitty guy. The nuance in this direction is, sometimes he does nice things, but no, he's
still an asshole.
And it's the night after this incident where Guts is trying to sleep with his numerous injuries that he overhears some talk from the other mercs about how I knew he was a bad omen. It's probably because of him that Shisu died of plague. Don't know why we keep him around. And it's not a good thing for a 6-year-old to hear. And so Guts goes and cuddles up with the one thing that has given him any comfort and sense of control over his miserable life, the sword.
The sword he just cut Gambino's face with. Boy, there's definitely not a metaphor in there.
Just the panel of little Guts, like, holding the sword like a child in any other situation would hold, like a teddy bear, blankets wrapped around him, the bandage, the blood-soaked bandages. Yeah, okay, Miura, I get it.
I know authors who use subtlety, and they're all cowards.
Guts takes very much to the sword. He begins training with it all the time, to the point where he's just doing sword swings when he is supposed to be fetching water from the river, saying that when swinging the sword, he doesn't have to think about anything else. And wow, it sure is something that a 6-year-old is already at that point.
Can you blame him?
No, not at all.
No, not at all. The depressing part is that this makes perfect goddamn sense.
Mm-hmm.
He is an old soul, way too old for his outward appearance.
And again, I think he's still 6 at this point.
Oh, have we not?
He just looks very aged because he's been through and seen some shit.
Yeah, I mean, there is that factor that he is very definitively seen some shit at this point.
Mm-hmm. Again, more proof that Gambino isn't all horrible. He gives Guts some medicine for the wounds that that Gambino gave him yesterday.
Oh
man, that gift he gave me really proves that he's not all that bad.
He's just almost entirely that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, that's like, yay, he fed me.
It's the next 3-year time skip where we have 9-year-old Guts joining the charge that will break the castle gates.
Oh yeah, being put to the test.
Mm-hmm.
Kid, you gotta work for that food.
You gotta work for a living, 9-year-old.
To be fair, what is he going to be doing when his entire mercenary crew is on the battlefield? Like, he shouldn't be living with them is the solution, but that's
but
not happening.
I don't know, because who was tending to Shizu when she was sick? I thought I saw like a nurse or someone. Like, I feel like they have people who stay back at their camp or whatever.
Oh, there absolutely are, but Gambino's not going to do that. He got to make sure that the kid's earning his keep.
Misplaced anger for something Guts had nothing to do with.
Or did he?
Kind of on the fence of whether or not Shizu got the plague from picking up Guts, but
Yeah, typically you don't hang around dead bodies.
Mm-hmm.
3 years later?
we don't know how long she had the plague.
Yeah, that's true, I suppose.
Yeah, how long it took to kill her.
That's still not really literally just Born Guts' fault, though. There's still a lot of misplaced aggression associated with those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, people who grieve lash out. I don't know what to tell you.
That's also that is the point of what's going on here, of course.
Mm-hmm. And this is the first time Guts kills a man with his own hands, stabbing a dude in the throat with his sword.
I gotta work that body count up somehow.
Mm-hmm. He's about to get killed by another knight. Gambino saves him. More of their father-son dynamic.
Yeah, that's fair.
Boy, this really Really
Yeah,
puts Thorfinn and Askeladd in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say Piccolo and Gohan, but I think that's a more apt comparison.
I was about to say I would say this is probably on par with Thorfinn and Askeladd. There's a lot more just flat out emotional abuse in Thorfinn Askeladd. Like he at least has a reasonable relationship with Guts other than his temper.
Important bit is as of currently, Thorfinn and Askeladd versus Guts and Gambino is relatively similar. What's going to happen next, I feel, is where the line gets crossed.
Yes.
So yeah, you remember that content warning we did in the intro?
We're getting to that part right now.
We kind of also already went over some parts that probably deserved a content warning, but
this is special awful.
Berserk is Berserk.
Yeah.
Guts gets his pay from the battle and, hands it over to Gambino, who gives him a silver coin. It's like, hey, good work, kid. I guess I'm finally earning his respect. This is good. I'm going to go take my silver coin and relax the rest of the day or whatever Guts does. And
that was a bad decision.
Yeah, because he passes by a really big dude, real big, ugly looking man who
he got beat with the ugly stick.
Yeah,
he got beaten with the ugly stick, and it gave him a permanent sex offender face.
Yeah.
This guy sees Guts, walks up to Gambino, asks him for a favor, and the next scene is Guts in his tent at night with the big ominous shadow approaching the tent flap, and
Yep, this is
deeply uncomfortable.
It's an entire half a chapter of a graphic rape. Like it eventually becomes that. So it is an adult man forcing himself on a little boy.
It's such a, with intention, painful and miserable thing to experience, because there's that moment where it seems like Guts is going to manage to get out of this situation.
Because he fights back hard.
He fights back hard, and there's that glimmer of hope that this isn't going to happen to the protagonist. This isn't really happening, right? Honestly, that bit of hope that you have watching this play out getting taken away makes it so much worse.
Because you're reminded that this is a 9-year-old child versus
an adult.
A very big adult. Man's just friggin' massive. And to add insult to injury, to make it even worse, the big man, the rapist, Donovan, even says, "Quit struggling. After all, Gambino sold your ass out."
Which, I mean, that's just cruelty for the sake of cruelty. As if we needed any more signs of how awful this person is. That was just,
Yeah.
It's
There's very little to say about this. It is everything that is portrayed to be.
Like with a lot of things in Berserk, it doesn't shy away from it and doesn't cut around it. Makes you experience it.
It wants you to be uncomfortable because that's the world it's in, and fair.
It succeeds.
Yeah.
The next morning, after recovering a bit, Guts. And this panel is especially there's lots of those in this, obviously. But Guts goes to confront Gambino, and it's him with just the blanket wrapped around his waist and holding the sword. And I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards. But he goes to confront Gambino, and Gambino's acting like nothing is awry.
It's not even acting it's genuine.
To him, nothing happened.
Nothing awry happened.
Genuinely portrayed as Gambino wonders what Guts is doing up, and did you want to practice swords or something? There is a nonchalance. There is a I did not even think about it. There is even the reader saw him talk with Donovan, but Guts has no reason to believe that was anything other than a lie from this monstrous person. So it's
and he can't really handle a world where it's true, especially after he was starting to believe that his and Gambino's relationship was going better.
Yeah, no, he was fully willing to confront Gambino over this. Like, that's where he's going. And it's like that nonchalance and just
makes Guts up, of course, the most, trying to be optimistic result that Guts can think of from that nonchalance is he doesn't know about what happened. So that must have been a lie. And then he can't even bring himself to actually talk about what happened.
I think that it's pretty genuine that Gambino isn't even lying here. I think he legitimately doesn't understand why that would be a it doesn't even factor to him that this is something he has to deal with. He might even not remember because he got super drunk last night because he's complaining about a hangover.
Yeah.
So he probably spent that money on booze, and Gambino's a shitty guy.
Yeah.
Well, we saw him walking away with a woman at one point, so he spent his money on booze and women, and he spent his money on booze and sex. Why can't Donovan do the same?
This is the point where, because it's like, from the reader's perspective, you know what happened. Like, there's no ambiguity for the reader, and this is the point where it's like, man, Gambino sure is a nuanced character. He is not going to heel face turn. he is irredeemable in every sense.
I also feel like, very, very obvious the direction that this character development, if you want to call it that, is going, but it's also the idea that it kind of really sharply presents itself that despite the fact that we were feeling like they were really starting to develop a fatherly or father-son bond and respect for each other, that was obviously not apparent. And I think that this was the point where it's like, you actually thought that? No. At least for me as a reader, it was kind of like, kind of reading too much into the relationship, not realizing that it was perhaps at least hinted at being very, very one-sided.
Yeah, it was more shallow than it appeared.
Yeah, that's where the nuance comes in, is it's not even like heel-faced villain of, haha, Guts, I was just lying to you, so you would feel even worse. It's like, he legitimately doesn't care. He kind of he gets a good feeling when he gets to be like a fatherly mentor, but the second he has to not be a dick for 2 seconds, he doesn't care about that. Like, he just likes the benefits of having this kid view him as a father figure.
Yes.
It's weird.
So in a sense, that's why I'm like, character development, if you want to call it that, but that's just the thing. I don't think there's been any character development. It's convenient for me to use him as I see fit.
Yeah, it seems both from Guts' perspective and the audience's perspective up until this point that it's character development, but really this moment is more of a character revelation of the way Gambino has always been. And both Guts and the audience have been reading in more positively into Gambino's actions than he ever deserved.
Yeah, and that's the entire thing. Like, to bring it back to Vinland Saga, Askeladd is a cartoon villain compared to he is like, haha, Thorfinn, I am using you for your own purposes, and everything I do to make you feel good about yourself is actually just so I can manipulate you.
Very upfront.
Gambino is just not thinking about it. He's just doing whatever feels good in the moment.
It's
Gambino
extremely casual cruelty.
Yeah. Askeladd is, and this is why I say it puts Askeladd into perspective. Askeladd is the villain of a story that you can escape into, even if it's transgressive and uncomfortable at times. Whereas Gambino is a very much more real kind of awful.
Yeah, and occasionally he does good things when it's literally no effort from him, and the reward is worth more than not
the minimal
doing
effort
anything.
he puts in.
Like, oh, yeah, I trained the kid to be good at swords. Well, he'll be a contributing member. Aha, I get to reward him with a coin from the money he gave me. Cool. Good job. You're doing the bare minimum and you're being praised for it. And bad people can do good things. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, but anyway, if you want some karmic justice, Guts is immediately on board with that because he's just like, okay, cool. Daddy Gambino isn't evil, so now I'm gonna go murder Donovan because we've got a war the next day.
This is another aspect that I really like Berserk for, because it's so easy if you're doing dark fantasy to just constantly pile on the suffering with absolutely nothing good happening. It's hard to say that what results is good, but at the very least, there is a level of catharsis to it.
Yeah, this is one of those. Objectively, I know that this isn't a good thing for Guts to be doing. This is not healthy. This isn't going to help him become a better person. However, it is definitely exactly what Donovan deserves.
I mean, what is he going to do? Call the police?
Yeah,
Exactly.
in a medieval sense, this is justice.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true too.
And yeah, that's more just highlighting how extremely muddy the morality is, because maybe a 9-year-old shouldn't be murdering people in the first place in like battlefields.
But a 9-year-old shouldn't be on a battlefield or have what happened to him in the first place.
Yeah, so any justice is welcome. And so when they are attacking the retreating column of enemies from the siege that they had recently won, Gambino goes to chase after some guys into the woods, and Guts uses this as his opportunity to exact vengeance, putting a crossbow quiver through Coral through Donovan's entire chest. Which, like, this man has like three ale kegs for a chest. How did that whole ass Coral go through?
I was about to say, who's giving Guts the crossbow with the power to pierce through plate armor? Like, the recoil on that alone for a 9-year-old
should be dislocating his shoulder. It's a freaking howitzer. and then, you know, Donovan's like, I've been shot. Guts, what did you? And Guts puts the next Coral in his mouth.
Yes.
Also, I do appreciate 9-year-old Guts does not know how to interrogate people, and I love it because he's got the sword in his mouth and is like, "Tell me who gave you the money. Tell me." And he's just like, and then just stabs him, and I'm just like, Guts, you're not going to get an answer, buddy.
Well, I also don't think he necessarily wanted an answer, because
No.
the answer might, and I mean, like, what little answer he does get is the thing he's afraid of, and that's why he stabs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, you know, Guts is going to rationalize it as he's clinging to his lie in death, but there's got to be a part of him that understands that that might not be the case.
I really appreciate how the entire mercenary band does not give a shit that Donovan doesn't come back from the mission. It is never mentioned.
Everyone hates Donovan. He had no friends.
You know, I can't imagine Donovan is well liked amongst the mercenaries.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, hey, in this line of work, sometimes guys just don't come back from missions. Probably got killed by an enemy.
Nobody's going to go out looking for him.
Mm-hmm. That's just one less share of the pay that we have to give away.
Also, I want to point out the horses are way too buff.
the panel of Guts with the crossbow like posed up on the horse, that horse is unreasonably built.
That horse is the size of like a riding horse, but is built like a Shetland pony.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute unit.
And just the blank white eyes on the horse, Guts with the crossbow. It's a very, very beautiful panel in a very unsettling looking death in the face kind of way.
That horse looks like it weighs as much as a Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
The car, not the horse.
Not the horse.
Yeah. And it's the thing they put the 9-year-old on. We cut back to the violence. I like how like it's got the transitionary, you know, sort of like 1/4 and 1/8 panels at the top, which implies that it's another battlefield or just another fight happening later on. But also there's no like explicit narration box that says that. This could be the same day. This could be a few months later. It's almost like all of the violence and carnage is just blurring together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because at one point they say Guts is 11. So time definitely did skip at some point, and it's not explicitly stated. But
yeah. But Gambino gets blasted by a cannon.
That is pretty cool.
And he loses a whole leg in the process.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, you know, given the size of that explosion,
He's lucky he only,
got out pretty
walked
well.
away. Probably losing a leg.
Yeah, that's the thing about Gambino too, is he is incredibly lucky.
Yeah. You know,
He-
honestly,
He walks away relatively healthy other than missing a leg. He is able to heal completely from that. And they say he's never going to be able to fight again, except from what it appears, his mercenary band still takes care of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but he doesn't feel like.
yeah, actually, that's what I was going to mention. Honestly, didn't really occur to me until Matt mentioned it, but Gambino is incredibly lucky. So many good things out of his control end up happening to him, and yet he constantly complains about Guts being bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because the only thing he ever cared about was taken away from him.
He didn't care about Ch.0 that much.
No.
It's literally he focuses
uses
on
that as an excuse.
He focuses on every single individual bad thing that happens to him so that he can create a narrative of ever since we found that baby, my life has been going downhill, forgetting the multitude of things that went well for him.
So like a generic user on Twitter.
Well, it's like the great sage Barney Beekeeper once said, bad luck and good luck are the same thing. It just depends on your perspective. It's rather poignant that we have basically the same panel of Guts over Shisu's deathbed. Guts sitting at the bed where Gambino is recovering and, thinking about his relationship with Gambino, remembering getting cut across the face, how he got that scar on his nose. It looks like he's starting to realize maybe this guy's just an asshole. Maybe I shouldn't give him my respect. And then in his fevered dreams, Gambino starts calling out to Shisu, telling her to stay alive until he can get back to her. And Guts is like, I mean, that doesn't sound like you, but that's the comforting lie I need, that you're not the monster that you obviously are.
Yeah, that I know you are in the back of my head.
He doesn't say that other part out loud, but the first part.
I mean, and that's the thing too, is that's probably how Gambino sees himself too.
Mm-hmm.
To some extent, you could even say a lot of comparisons to Vinland Saga, but I don't think it's unfair. That's another compare and contrast between Gambino and Askeladd, where Askeladd kind of knows he's a cartoon villain. Gambino, again, he's a person. He doesn't realize he's the villain of the main character's story. From his perspective, he's the main character. He hasn't done anything wrong, and all the bad things that have happened to him he hasn't deserved, because, hey, he's done right by that Guts kid, despite the fact that everything bad in my life is his fault. I've not killed him yet. That just unbelievable disconnect from reality is something that, unfortunately, a lot of real-life people can experience.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, in his situation, he's perfectly within his rights to tell Guts to go pound sand.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't, because probably some lingering connection to Ch.0, or also he digs the hero worship.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a complicated man. As we see when we cut again to the future, Guts has killed the enemy commander, so he got a big war bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And gives the entirety of it to Gambino, saying hey, you're going to be able to buy a bunch of booze and women with this. It's going to be great. And he just smacks Guts upside the head and goes, meat for the dog.
With his crutch. Yeah. Because Gambino has been sitting there in his chair tending to a little dog that's being a dog. Talking about Gambino's temper, he seems so content. He's just petting the dog. He's having a good time. It's oh, meat, wine and women? Sure, but how about some meat for the dog? What are you talking about? Meat for the dog. Stop standing there and go get it! And smacks Guts across the face with the crutch.
Doesn't even take the money, because Guts still has the money and throws it in a fit, because what's going on with Gambino? He's suddenly such an asshole, and I'm like, Guts.
Guts, buddy. We get a literal kick the dog moment from Gambino.
I was gonna say, if it wasn't obvious enough that the sympathy for Gambino was undeserved, he literally kicks a dog.
Yes.
You know what? No, I'm gonna go on the full thing here, right? If you've gotten to this part in Berserk and kicking the dog is what caused you to lose sympathy, I have genuine complaints about you as a
As a
person.
person.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I was gung ho with all of the chaos and evil, and so you kicked the dog.
I was okay with the child sex trafficking, but how dare you harm a puppy?
But I draw the line at kicking a dog. You can excuse the child sex trafficking?
What's that first date question?
Well, full stop. If it's, oh no, how dare they do that to the puppy? I genuinely think something is wrong with you as a human being.
As a person.
That is not a bit. I genuinely think less of you.
Yes. Of course, it's also supposed to be illustrative of the way that Gambino sees Guts, because even after getting kicked, the dog still follows him around. Just happy little dog.
No, I'm not blaming the manga for this moment. It has its own symbology. I'm saying if you got to this point and kicking the dog was what you needed to push you over the edge, you.
But Guts is, being angry in his tent because why wouldn't he be? It's a rainy night. He's thinking about how right now all he thinks he needs to think about is surviving tomorrow. Tomorrow he'll kill lots of enemies again, earn lots of money.
And then maybe adoptive daddy will love me.
Yeah. This sure is a healthy place for an orphan like him to be.
Today I have killed 5,000 men. Tomorrow I will kill 5,000 more. I've killed so many, I've forgotten the face of my mother. That's a Kill 6 Billion Demons quote.
Yeah, it obviously is. I mean, you guys keep saying this is no place for an orphan to be. I'm gonna be real honest. The state of Berserk, I don't think there's any place for an orphan to be.
Yeah, there isn't any place for anyone really.
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Age just meant that there were some people in some cities who were doing okay.
Which is usually how Golden Ages actually are.
While Guts is thinking about this, Gambino comes and starts attacking him with a sword. Gambino, obviously, drunk off his ass as well. He's ranting about how, shouldn't have gotten careless. Shouldn't have let Shisu pick you up from that tree where you were under your own mother's corpse. Why do you cause all these bad things in my life? Yeah, just ranting and raving.
Who put these holes in my belt?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually, yeah, but that's actually what's happening, so less funny.
Yeah. And, he's continuing to attack Guts. Guts is dodging because, what's he going to do? Attack Gambino? He's going to attack his father figure?
I'm sorry, spoilers, but yes.
There is a really good through line of, situations where it's like, how will Guts muster up the courage to, oh, he's already stabbing them. Got it.
They really, with this entire prologue, just show you how Guts has learned on the battlefield that he will defend himself even subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And
it started when he was a 6-year-old boy, and it has just continued.
Yeah, and there is a stronger moment than this that comes up a bit later. And I want to call that out when we get to it. But this really does seem to be reinforcing that, if not the primary theme of Berserk as a story, and, all of the grimdark is in service to this idea. Be honest with yourself. You want to keep living. No matter how bad it gets, you still value your own life, and that's a good thing. Keep trying. Thematic element, I really appreciate that,
especially because even Baby Guts, it's not even like that's a conscious desire he's putting down. He's literally just got survival instinct in there.
Yeah, it's reflexive.
Yeah, because
just grounded to his muscle memory. And the final nail in the coffin, he's ranting about how never should have picked you up from that corpse tree. You killed Shisu, blah, blah, blah. The final bit is Gambino admits the night after your first battle, Donovan bought you for 3 silver coins. I'm the one he paid.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And hey, you remember in our first episode where we talked about how when Guts was going to do a murder, his entire face was shadowed and only one eye was lit up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gambino has that face when he goes to stab Guts. And Guts is just crying, asking why.
Yeah.
And that's when Guts runs his sword clean through Gambino's throat in order to defend himself.
Gambino is swinging for a killing blow on Guts, and before he even realizes what he's done, he is already dodged and counterattacked, and it's already over. I'm sure this can't get any worse.
I was about to say, I know we've been praising how well the writing is here. This scene right here tugged on my believability a little, because this is kind of just what is the worst possible interpretation of this scene. Because it's not, the other members of the mercenary group are tolerating Gambino currently.
Yeah, the fact that they turn on Guts so hard, it does seem a little bit odd that they would care that much that Gambino's dead, especially since a lot of them were complaining about the fact that he was still around.
Exactly. Bunch of hypocrites.
Though, in all honesty, to some extent, I feel like that might be part of the point. Like, none of these people are good people.
Well,
Yes.
they're mercenaries. They kill for a living. As much as like you want to glamorize that in fiction, they are murderers for coin.
Mm-hmm.
Murders for hire.
Not really, because it's like there's also the element of a lot of them have had the opinion that Guts was, a bad luck charm, basically. So, to some extent, I almost feel like
They just were looking for an excuse. Really.
yeah, Gambino's death is an excuse, right?
The problem is, if that's the motivation, I didn't really feel that coming through the dialogue.
Yeah.
So that's good justification, but I don't feel like the story was telling me that. This isn't a big enough problem that I'm like, this is a plot hole. I'm just like, this felt a little...
Yeah, it felt a little...
The plot needs him kicked out of his home, so he's getting kicked out of his home. Justify that how you will, which... That's not a bad storytelling.
Yeah, it's a noticeable narrative shortcut, which Berserk normally doesn't take, so it's noteworthy when it does. Yeah, I think it's the dialogue of the people who are chasing Guts away. Like, there's no like, but at least that asshole Gambino's gone. Like they actually seem mad that Gambino is dead, which doesn't really fit with how they were treating him prior.
And they're also like of the mindset the only reason they're doing this is because of justice. But we never really had it told to us that the mercenary crew cared about justice. So
they're not getting paid for this, though. So
yeah. So why do they
That's
care that much?
Well, because we need to have Guts run out of the camp and then shot with a crossbow bolt and to fall off a cliff and to lay in a puddle in the rain and then get attacked by wolves.
as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. So you want to raise a child to be a monstrous, fighter who has no
Compunction about death.
Yes, this is his training arc.
surprisingly, most people don't actually hear the second part of that saying. It does take a village to kill a child as well.
Yes.
And even then, if the child has Guts, they might not succeed.
Yes.
They do just kind of give up. It's very Disney death where they're like, he fell off this cliff. He's probably dead.
I mean, someone probably reminded them they're not getting paid for this.
We see Guts laying in a puddle, a crossbow quarrel sticking out of his shoulder, bleeding profusely. And there is a beautiful 2-page spread of the clouds clearing and just the full stars of the night sky and the moon overhead. It's after that Guts manages to haul himself to his feet, which is good because that's when the wolves show up.
Like 5 wolves.
I'm not gonna lie. I might be outing myself as a bit of an idiot here. There's a part of me that's like, okay, is Guts gonna get raised by wolves? No, this is a Berserk, you idiot. Why did you think that?
For just a second, I want to say that's on purpose because the wolves kind of approach in such a way that you're expecting it to go a different way.
Okay, I feel less dumb.
But it's because it's literally what happens is Guts goes and just it's because he's giving himself up to the wolves is the thing. Like, he's not trying to fight. He's just like, that's 5 wolves. I can't deal with this. Well, and he puts his hands down and he's just like, I've accepted my death. And then unfortunately, his survival instinct is too strong.
This is that other scene I was talking about that reinforces the theme of, no, be honest with yourself. You want to live. Because
I'm not sure if he wants to. because we get his internal monologue of I am giving myself up to death. It's almost like his reflexes are acting against his wants in this moment.
The reason I put it the way I do is because I feel that this is a companion scene to the ending of our previous reading, the Black Swordsman arc, where Guts is encouraging the noble daughter to hold on to the blade of his sword and not like I feel like this scene on its own is just Guts's reflexes, but I feel like as a companion scene to that previous one, it is reinforcing the idea that you are going to reflexively want to survive because, that is what you should do. You do, you should want to keep living, as hard as it gets. Moving forward is better than just giving up.
And Guts manages to fight off a whole ass pack of wolves and kill several of them.
Yeah. And this is another case where it's like, boy, this is such a real moment because he downs 2 of them and the rest of them are like, yeah, no, this is not the easy calories we thought this was. We're going to leave.
He's also a 9-year-old kid, so it's probably not even enough calories for a pack of wolves.
Yeah.
This is not worth our time and cost 2 of our pack members.
We're going to leave. And so Guts collapses and a caravan is approaching and it's like, oh, thank God, maybe he'll actually get something resembling a normal life. Man, it sure is fortunate for this kid that we mercenaries happened by. Damn it!
Yeah, this entire chapter is a lot of here's some narrative stuff to move the plot along. Because they get picked up by, we're also a group of mercenaries.
Look, the wolf scene was really, really good.
It was just unfortunately sandwiched between we need to get to this really cool idea I have about these wolves, and then I don't know what to do with him after the wolves.
Oh, man.
Because the fact he's picked up by another mercenary crew doesn't really matter.
It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea behind this is it's supposed to show the kind of world that it's there might not be roving demons right now, but there's roving mercenary bands because the world is just as violent.
I think that's already been made very clear that everybody is constantly at war.
So we've managed to spend a good hour on the first 2 chapters. Hopefully we'll be able to speed things along.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It looks like Guts has found a happy life, and we're just gonna take a nice little break in this little fake nonsense world we've created where Guts can be happy for 2 years.
Definitely not 4 more years of bloodshed.
I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen for the rest of the story.
Oh boy, okay. Yep, but we're going to return to this chaos after a brief break. And welcome back to the show, folks, where last we left off this parade of misery and horror. Guts just got picked up by another mercenary group after murdering his father figure, getting dropped off a cliff, fighting some wolves, average day.
It's another time skip, so we don't even know if it's the same mercenary group that picked him up that he's with now. In fact, it's pretty heavily implied it's not.
He kind of seems that he's a free agent now. Yeah. He's not with a band.
He's in another siege. Castle Gate has just been broken, and they're all pouring their way in, taking over this castle. And there is one guy who is just going on an absolute tear. This huge dude, big guy with his round armor.
Oh, no.
And his big friggin' axe. And they're like, whoa, is that the Grey Knight Bazuzo, the 30-man killer who killed a bear unarmed? Whoa, it's that guy. Holy crap.
He is 100% that guy, apparently.
He's him.
He's that individual.
Yes.
He's the guy.
The leader of the attacking force is like, bonus if you kill that guy. And everyone's like, I don't care about no bonus. Except then Guts is like, wait a minute, no, I need to prove that I'm him. And he steps forward. He's like, how big is the bonus? 3 gold coins, 7. Okay.
Well, no, it's not quite that, because he literally goes, "Hey, you guys are doing this for free? No, I'm a mercenary. I work for money. How much will you give me to kill him?" Which leads me to believe Guts' entire business strategy is just walk onto battlefields and yell at people, "Hey, who will give me money to kill someone?"
100%.
He'd fit right in with Samus.
I mean, in all honesty, it seems to be working out for him because
Sam, just imagine if you could draw. You could make that ship happen. Be beautiful.
I don't know if I would ship them, but it would be a cool battle scene if they both.
it would be a cool crossover.
It'd be a cool crossover.
Guts' business model seems to be working because squares up with Bozozo the Clown.
Yep. I agree with that name.
And,
also, he's getting paid 7 gold coins for this, which
They're better than silver.
yeah, I guess, was that what he was getting paid with before? Because that seems like a far cry from the bags full of nameless coins he was getting before.
That was
Well, maybe they were all bronze. Bleh.
that was probably silver.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, we're joking about Guts just showing up on a battlefield. He does appear to be being paid to participate in the fight generally, as we find after the fight. Long story short, Guts does an awesome and kills the giant dude in the round armor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a cool fight, but it doesn't tell us anything we don't already know about Guts.
Uh-huh. Well, it seems that we have reached the point of convergence with the Black Swordsman in the first arc, because that Guts was perfectly willing to do extremely risky things that put himself in incredible danger to win the fight, as shown by 14-year-old Guts slamming his sword into the blade of Bazuzo's axe to crack it, so that when Bazuzo went to chop his head off, the blade shatters against his helmet, letting Guts land the killing blow. What the hell is that sword made out of?
I don't even know if that's actually the Dragon Slayer either.
It's not.
It's just a big sword. Like, that's weird because he's 14, so it's not the giant honker he has when he's an adult, but like.
So I think the salient point from this is the simple fact that isn't like a special sword in any way. It's just a Zweihander. Like, it's not like explicitly spelled out, but it's sort of talked about later by Griffith, saying that was incredibly risky. You had to rely on your sword not falling out of alignment, your sword not breaking itself, your sword doing enough damage to the axe that your helmet would survive, and all of the moves that you perform being the correct ones in the moments that you needed. This was an unnecessary Hail Mary, basically. Like, that's sort of the point of this.
But anyway, Guts does his murder. He gets his coin. Is weirdly propositioned by an older man in what is not explicitly stated but strongly implied to be a sexual relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's like, well, you're such a powerful warrior. I could make you my squire even. You would have security, legitimacy, money. And Guts is like, okay, this gold is real. Later.
This is also explicitly stated, like, why do you want an apprentice when the war's over? Well, there's many things to do other than war. I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Judge.
Guts has an aversion to touch. GY.
Don't touch me!
It is painful to watch.
It sure is. But Guts is walking down the road, having left the battlefield, and a bunch of guys just chilling up on a hill that we learned through context clues were other mercenaries at that battle.
On the opposite side.
On the opposite side, yeah. They look down and they're like, hey, ain't that the guy that killed Bazuzo? Didn't he get a fat-ass reward for that? Let's jump him!
And then one of the other mercenaries is like, that is stupid. He will kill you. Leave him alone.
Is that Casca?
It is Casca, yes. Griffith also agrees with the sentiment, but those people aren't intelligent or important enough to warrant his attention.
They're too far gone. It's just like, you guys are just idiots, whatever. They forget how he got the money.
Griffith is just chilling out on the grass, and they're like, hey, Griffith, can we go jump that guy? Do what you want.
And so they try to jump that guy. It's Guts, so it goes exactly how you expect it will.
He kills one of them, chops another one of their arms off. He's posing there like his pronouns are I'm him.
Which, I mean, to be fair, they kind of are.
Yeah. And it's also notable that these guys are all on horses and Guts is on foot, and he's still doing this to them. He is still doing them this dirty. And, hearing that the battle is not going well, Casca, the one who told them that it was a bad idea, is like, told you so. And Griffith is like, hey, Casca, go sort that out. They started it. I don't care. Go sort it out. Okay.
Fine.
And just as Guts is about to lay the final blow on the named character who started this fight,
Corcus.
Yeah. He is conveniently saved by Casca jumping in, deflecting the blow, and Guts just goes, a woman? And I'm just like, Guts, how do you know? This person looks identical to you.
They do look shockingly similar. I think he realizes that Casca is a woman after he knocks her helmet off.
Where he sees a face identical to his.
Yeah.
We're on the same page here, Sam. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's important information for the audience to know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But they're fighting, and all the other dudes are watching like, whoa, he's beating Casca. The only one who can beat Casca is Griffith. He must be insanely strong. And Guts is about to kill her when
the big man in charge decides to get involved.
Griffith!
This guy seems pretty cool. Except we were reading the last section where he is a demon lord.
Where we recognize that helmet.
Yeah, it's the same helmet.
It's the helmet that Femto has. You know, one of the God Hand, one of the big demon lords.
I didn't recommend this. I didn't honestly recognize this dude at all.
Yeah, it's the same helmet.
I mean, I recognized the helmet. I just recognized, Griffith from all of this very popular character that people like to do fan art of. So that's how I knew him.
Yeah, wow, what a shock.
I mean,
oh man, Jay doesn't recognize the helmet, but she does recognize the pretty man.
the beastie. I mean, he is dripped out of his bloody mind.
Dripped out of his mind, aggressively androgynous.
Yeah.
That's why everyone hates him.
Yeah,
they're drawn to him at the same time.
And I'm just saying about this fight and the majority of the scenes that take up the rest of our reading, I can really appreciate this Berserk really ahead of its time. Because back when this came out, manga typically tried to hide their homoerotic subtext. Berserk just makes it text.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Berserk has not cut away from anything at this point. It does not do subtlety to its benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Griffith says a bunch of stuff that's essentially like, I want him. You mean as like a soldier? Yes.
In addition,
I know we don't like talking about abridged series because they make us sound very old that we know what they are. But man, the Berserk abridged series is literally just what happens with that relationship.
Mm-hmm. So Griffith saves Casca from getting her head split in half by Guts. And of course, Guts immediately charges him, and Griffith, with a slender cavalry saber, manages to defeat the mighty Zweihander of Guts and give him a good stab.
Right between the
plates of his armor.
And Guts drops. And as a nerd, I know that particular wound was on real life medieval battlefields one of the most deadly. Normally you don't get up from that. So Guts immediately gets up from that.
Yeah, and everyone's like, Masika, he's standing.
Yes.
Unfortunately for Guts this time, the blood loss from a severed artery is a bit too much for him, and he ends up going back down. This is where we get the helmet removal, dramatic hair flowing shot.
Yeah, of Griffith's face. Just damn.
It's funny that Guts accurately pegs Casca as a woman, but doesn't mistake Griffith for one. Like, I feel like it would be the other way around.
Yeah, Casca's tomboy as heck, so like...
Again, Casca is literally just Guts. They look identical.
Mm-hmm.
She's a female version.
She is slightly smaller.
Yes, and that's why he hates her.
They have the same haircut.
They really do. But hey, do you guys think Guts has some trauma? I think
No.
Guts has some trauma.
Nah, I think he's perfectly fine.
I think he needs lots and lots of therapy.
I'm sure that nightmare sequence of a vaguely Donovan-shaped monster chasing him as a small naked child, immune to his sword, is totally normal.
What sword, my boy? That's my leg.
yeah, Gambino on the pile of bones with the dog that has Shisu's plague-scarred face for a head.
This is literally like fever dream on steroids. Trauma fever dream.
To be fair, that's literally what it is. It's a trauma fever dream.
And then it's got like a weird sex dream about Casca that we're just going to move past.
Well, he doesn't think it's Casca. He thinks it is Griffith at first. I think until he like focuses in on the eyes.
Well, you say it's a weird sex dream, but it's implied that bit is.
Oh no! It is explicitly he woke up from his fever dream to see naked Casca, but
He thinks it's part of the fever dream, and it's like, boy, I knew I had problems, but now I'm confused.
He wakes up the next morning like, where the hell am I? I've been stabbed. I'm in a merc camp. What the heck is going on here?
It's just Tuesday.
It's like, well, I'm stabbed and I woke up in a merc camp. This is actually pretty normal for me.
This is actually the first normal thing that's happened to me all day.
Oh, hey, it's that dark-eyed girl that I dreamed was lying naked next to me, and she punched me in the stab wound. What the hell?
I like that about Casca. She doesn't like punch him in the face or slap him or gut punch him. She goes for the stab wound.
She probably helped dress too.
That is the most vulnerable point. I must deal maximum damage.
And Guts is like on the ground, like, what the hell was that? And another guy just sharpening a knife is like, she's a little salty. Griffith ordered her to sleep naked next to you so that you could warm up from losing all that blood.
Which
Was demeaning.
Yikes.
Yes.
Yikes.
Uh-huh.
yeah,
It's
especially
worse.
because Casca's entire current state is that she gave up being a woman to be a mercenary.
To then
And-
be treated as a woman.
Griffith said warming a man's body is women's work because her boyfriend has a boyfriend.
Yep. There's a
Hey,
whole lot of that going around.
Man, they really just out the gate be like, hey, do you think Griffith doesn't see other people as people? Do you think he just sees them as tools for his own ends? I wonder if he thinks that way.
But he's so friendly.
Yeah, this is actually in a lot of ways a really similar situation to Gambino, where it's like there's more nuance to Griffith, but like there's this like underlying current of I see how he turns into a demon god. Yeah, that tracks.
There's 100% more nuance though, because we got Gambino at the end of his story. This is Griffith at the beginning when he's
Right.
He's not respecting Casca, but otherwise he's fine. Like,
Yeah, it's very much the case where because you know where his story ends, that tracks. I see how we get from point A to point B.
it's like when I'm watching the original trilogy of Star Wars, I'm like, yep, that kid's Vader. I knew it.
They don't even need to blast the Imperial March every time he's on screen. I can just tell.
Sand is rough and it does get everywhere.
So who are all these guys? That's my mercenary band. It's the Band of the Hawk. The Band of the Hawk. Whoa. I thought they were just a rumor. I didn't know they were a bunch of young guys. And
Why are all of you my age?
I was about to say, this is very like 80s movie where a teenager finds out that, wait a second, you're the infamous underground street gang, the Hawks?
Yes.
Why are you all teenagers? That's because adults just don't understand. Oh my God. Berserk also takes place in the 80s.
Yes.
Vinland
Yes.
Saga.
Yes! Yes!
yes.
The 80s spinoff expands!
Oh my God. Casca would fit in so well too. She's just, that's 100% like, I'm not like other girls.
Oh my God.
Oh,
It's too perfect. I can see all of them in biker leather.
I need 80s fan art of Berserk right now.
I want it on our desks by Monday.
You have an
You know-
assignment.
You know what to do, audience.
Huh.
I
But
feel like it's also purposeful.
Mhm.
80s manga's at like all hype, and it still is hype. Fight me.
But yes, homoerotic subtext. Griffith takes guts.
Not existent. It's just text.
Homoerotic text.
Yeah, Griffith takes Guts to a hill outside of the encampment and is like, so what's this all about?
I'm
decided
going to propose.
So ready.
I've decided that I want you, Guts.
Ooh.
Are you a homo or something?
To be fair,
He has reason to ask it that way.
Guts is just protecting himself because he's just like, when men have expressed interest in me, it's not gone great.
One of my formative memories is sexual violence from another man.
I'm just saying,
I'm just gonna cut this off where it stands. I'm not into it.
Guts's gay panic is justified isn't the word I want, but it's understandable.
Understandable, yeah. He do be spouting slurs.
It does, yes.
It is the 80s.
Also, time period, and I don't think you're supposed to like Guts for that comment either. So,
Yeah.
time period of the story, time period of the in-universe, and also, I don't even really take it as something that like the author is condoning Guts's behavior there.
Wow, the dark anti-hero saying, "Are you gonna make me your boy?" is supposed to be problematic. I never would have thought.
Well,
See, you care about other people's feelings.
to be fair, that's Dark Horse translating it, I assume.
I don't know what the
what the connotation of the original is.
As always, we need to remind our dear listeners, we do barely any research because we're not professionals.
Yeah,
Our opinions mean nothing.
we're just good at faking it.
I mean, you guys read the the back of the volume covers, right?
No.
Oh, the back of the volume covers are hilarious.
Amazing.
It's got a whole lot of hello fellow kids. Do you like violence?
Oh, jeez.
Berserk isn't exactly a book for the theater crowd, unless the theater has fight pits.
Amazing.
Don't show this to your grandma unless she smokes cigars and rides a Harley.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
Oh, I
that's
missed
after
out.
the rape.
I'm sorry, what?
That's after the the chapter where Guts gets assaulted. That's
my
like the
God.
last chapter of one of the volumes. So that's like the next page you see.
Oh my god, that
That is either the most hilarious self-aware joke I've heard in a long time, or somebody wasn't paying attention and thought Berserk was the kind of series that does shocking things for pure shock value and not for actual reasons.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Considering it's the book jacket, it's hard to say which one is so.
I don't know. As always, we don't know anything about the industry, which is really sad considering the number of people we've talked to in the industry.
In the industry, yeah.
But anyway, Griffith is continuing to come on to Guts, and Casca has been eavesdropping on this and is like, never says that to me.
My boyfriend's got a boyfriend.
Oh,
She's
no.
incredibly jealous.
She's so freaking jealous. But Guts is like, so what if I say no to your offer? I mean, do you? You bet your ass I do! Oh no!
This is not how I was expecting this to go, but I do have a contingency for this.
What if I just beat you in a fight? Well, all right. If I win, then I get to stab you the same way you stabbed me. And if I win, then you can make me your soldier or your butt blood or whatever. I don't care. I made that one up. That one's not in the reading.
Might as well be.
Might as well be.
The reading would be Griffith just immediately going, that counts as consent.
Griffith pulling his sword and saying, I don't dislike doing things by force. Just, God,
Yes.
this man is so extra.
I'm just saying, for not one moment did he not know what he was doing. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Griffith is as self-aware as the entire rest of this story.
So the boys get out their long, hard implements and fight for dominance.
Yes. It's like watching a nature video.
I'm not even going to comment on this because we have the final chapter we read, so whatever. Nothing matters.
Yeah, the fight is extremely cool. Griffith is kind of styling on Guts because despite again having a cavalry saber, objectively a much lighter blade than his massive Zweihander, he is basically one-hand fencing this man into submission.
Yeah, the big thing that has been impressed upon the audience, and this section does a good job of doubling down on this element of Guts's fighting character, is he is very, very fast and very, very precise. Guts is not a brute. He is someone who fights smart and fights very deftly. He just does it with a giant hunk of iron that can brain you even if he has bad edge alignment. He just never has bad edge alignment.
Except Griffith does that, but better, and with a weapon designed for it.
Yeah, exactly. And, Guts just gets overwhelmed.
Because he's too proud. He's got to use a sword too big for him so that Daddy will love him.
Mm-hmm. I like how Guts goes to throw some grass in Griffith's face to distract him, and eyes closed, Griffith dodges the overhead swing and lands to balance on Guts's blade. It is
because again, he has to be extremely extra.
Mm-hmm. And he holds his sword to Guts's throat and is like, "Well, I suppose I've won. Now do you surrender? You talk too much. I'll show you how mouths should be used in a fight."
Oh yes,
I've read that, Dojin.
Yes, he bites down on the sword. Come on, dude.
I mean, yeah.
Guts really said no homo and then did that.
Sam, as we keep saying, the homoerotic subtext is just the text.
It's just text, yes. That doesn't make it any less funny.
If anything, it makes it funnier.
Really?
Just, I'll show you how mouths should be used in a fight.
It then devolves into a fist fight as they tumble down the hill metaphor.
I was too busy laughing at the ridiculousness of that scene. I don't actually understand what he did by biting the sword.
I think he twisted it out of Griffith's hand because he was so surprised it loosened his grip.
That seems like that shouldn't work, but okay.
No, it shouldn't work. It absolutely should not work.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what was supposed to have happened, though.
Guts should have been, gotten his whole tongue cut out, been stabbed through the roof of his mouth. He should have died 1,000 times over in that one exchange alone. But instead...
But we're also reading Berserk, and it's Guts.
So they roll down the hill, and Guts starts pounding Griffith in the face. Not like that.
But kind of like that.
But also kind of like that. I love the line that Guts said. Guts is like, no homo. But anyway, I bet that's the first time that pretty face has ever been hit. How's your own blood taste?
Oh my.
And then Griffith grabs him by the arm, turns around, it's like, well, I just discovered a new fetish.
Now, have you accepted that I have you in this lock and you should surrender, or do I need to dislocate your arm? Asshole. Okay. And that's a dislocated arm right there.
And once again, Guts passes out.
Mm-hmm. Just this entire scene, Guts passes out, but manages to come to relatively quickly, as of course Griffith needs to do one final homoerotic text. As he picks Guts up, clasps in hands to the side of his face, forehead to forehead. Now you belong to me.
Oh.
And everyone's excited, except for Guts.
Also, Sam, how dare you lie to our dear listeners by saying that's his final homoerotic subtext?
That's a
of the scene.
For now.
Of the scene.
Boss, what does that mean? It means he's one of the Hawks. I don't think that's what you Okay, sure.
He's one of the Hawks through marriage to me.
Yes.
I'm surprised he didn't say that.
Yeah. He could have said that, no lie, and I would have dead ass believed it. Yep, that makes sense.
I love Casca's fuming. He's never said I want you to anybody. But then even funnier than that is Guts just posing, glaring at the roof of the tent and being so mad. I don't know why the panel of him just lying there glaring is so funny.
I guess I've got a boyfriend now.
Yeah.
I lost. Damn it.
But anyway, he is now a member of the Band of the Hawk. They go and do mercenary nonsense. It's real cool.
They do some real mercenary nonsense. It's like, hey, Guts, welcome to the band. So we're going to do an extremely dangerous night raid on the enemy where we're basically going extremely far out of our way to go up a river in the middle of the night to attack them from behind. You're on rear guard.
Try not to die.
Try not to die.
Go out to do the thing. A bunch of them are talking about, oh man, this is a real rough test for the new guy, isn't it? And I believe it's Casca who points out, no, that's not a test. He just thinks that Guts is capable of it.
I also want to point out Guts is the person who beat our boss to a standstill.
Yeah, I think we're past the point of tests.
He murdered 2 of our guys. 3 of our guys.
Well, no, he killed one of them and then took the hand off of another.
Would have killed a third had Griffith not intervened.
Are we just gonna forget that he murdered Dante? I don't know. Griffith did.
There's one dude who is really, really... I don't think he's actually hung up on that. He just keeps using it as the excuse to harass Guts.
It's Corcus. It's the guy who originally wanted to jump him for the money.
Yeah, the weenie loser whose name I don't care to remember because he's a weenie loser.
So did he grow rat teeth in the time skip?
It sure looks like it. Probably from getting punched in the face.
I didn't remember the rat teeth when he first showed up, but he's got like prominent rat teeth in the second part he shows up in.
I mean, he is a rat.
Yeah,
Fair.
it's fitting.
They assault the enemy camp in the dead of night. I like the one soldier who's sitting there on sentry duty like, man, it's a cold night. The wind's howling. There's not even any animals out in the forest tonight. What am I doing here on sentry duty? Oh, those are torches. Those are people. That's an army. We're being attacked.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
That guy had the worst night. Griffith looking main character is stuck on his special horse. With its special armor.
They traverse through a shallow but rapid river to get behind the enemy camp, and they light the gunpowder stores on fire, which are next to the food and the weapons stores. That seems like a bit of a flaw in the camp's layout, but okay.
I mean, would you expect an enemy to get there? If an enemy's
That's
already
fair.
gotten to that point.
Yeah. Something's gone horribly wrong already. That is a fair point, but...
I also like all our valuables guarded by one guy in the back of our...
There's a whole sequence of Guts doing his rearguard job, drawing people away. Griffith senses that something's wrong. His boyfriend hasn't returned yet.
Yes, because go and they tear through the camp and they are making their way back, retreating through the woods. And I think actually the commander of that camp is the mustache guy, the mustache knight who tried to make Guts' squire. The enemy is bearing down on them. Guts is doing his rear guard thing. And it causes the line to stretch out so much that the band of the Hawk is coming back in drips and drabs. And Griffith is like, oh, I can't allow anything bad to happen to Guts. I must go back for him.
Guts, Casca, and a group of main characters who I'm sure nothing bad will happen to in the next several chapters. I'll go to save Guts.
It's good that they did, because despite all of his protagonisty powers, he was getting overwhelmed.
We get a cool team escape back to their own lines where they've had cannons set up to shred the pursuers. And huzzah, Guts' first mission as a member of the Band of the Hawks is successful.
Hooray!
He wants to be a loser and go sit off by himself.
Yeah, while the Hawks are all celebrating the victory, Guts is just up on the palisade, like looking at the stars, cuddling with his sword, because it's his teddy bear.
We better introduce some named characters to force him to be part of the group.
Hey, Guts, why are you being such an edgy loner up here? Why don't you come down and have a drink?
No.
Come on, you were so cool back there. I really respect you. Hey, my name's Rickert. Let's go back to the group, have some fun. No.
Okay, Pippin, we tried the easy way. Just drag him.
You got it. as the 8-foot tall man that we have not mentioned yet.
The absolute unit who hasn't spoken up until this point.
Just picks up Guts, slings him over his shoulder, and takes him down to the camp, down to the party.
And it's one of those ones where it's like, on the one hand, like, here is someone who, at least as far as the story is presented to us up to this point, it's Berserk, so I don't trust it, but at least as far as the story is presented up to this point, here's someone who has no ill intent towards Guts, who's, you know, like, forcing him to socialize, and Guts has this whole understandable touch aversion, and, you know, this seems to, like, after, you know, this whole event of Guts getting properly integrated into the group, it seems to alleviate it a little bit. There is also the noticeable lack of respecting of boundaries involved, which,
to be fair, they saved his life. Boundaries don't exist amongst a band of brothers.
And they
there is a reasonable expectation that if you are going to be like risking your life with a group of people,
you should spend time with them.
You don't get to sit off by yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, honestly, the scene is the most positive thing that we've seen pretty much in all of Berserk up to this point. Like, it really does feel like this is a proper home for Guts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, that these people are going to, you know, help him move past his trauma. There's definitely not going to be a point where any of the characters involved are going to increase the trauma. That's not going to happen.
Maybe the real golden age was the friends we made along the way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, those were some cool battles. You know what would be really cool? If we just front-loaded a chapter with talking with a character who just told you things you should know about the setting and people. Let's hope. Hey, Judah. Just tell me everything you know about Griffith in just a wall of text. I'm being a little mocking of it, but, like, I'm also not.
Like, it comes off enjoyable to read, but that is objectively what it is. It's an information dump.
Especially because you're like, oh, well, you could have spaced this out a little more. What could you possibly have been saving page space for? Oh my god.
Probably the most famous thing in Berserk that doesn't involve blood.
Griffith is naked by a well.
I don't think we're even at that particular splash fight yet, but
we are at a naked splash fight, though. Because
But Ch.0 goes to talk to Guts up on the palisade, because of course he returned there after the partying, and it's like, so what kind of guy is Griffith? Really? No, you don't know yet. You're all so charmed by him. Hold on. I'm getting to that. You've probably noticed how he seems so, like, carefree and casual all the time, but he's got this extremely, like, intense, like, drive and sort of, like, almost villainous aspect to him. Yeah, I've noticed that. Well, it's kind of captivating, isn't it? I guess. And that's why we're here.
I'm glad we had this conversation.
Not yet and may never be yet emotionally aware enough to see all of the red flags for all this is, but it is illuminating.
Hey, Guts, Griffith wants to talk to you about something that's definitely not going to be an HR write-up.
All right, let me go find him. And Griffith, why are you naked bathing in a well?
I'm sorry, Guts.
I don't need to answer that question.
Do you bathe with your clothes on?
Weirdo.
Guts, come join me. It's the best way to sober up. Please put that away.
The bucket or...
Oh, come on. Don't be such a spoil sport. Splash. All right, you asked for it.
It is kind of wholesome. I know where this goes is the problem. I don't want to call it wholesome.
Here's the thing. This is very wholesome.
Yeah.
This is weirdly wholesome. It is a bit of levity. It is very sexual.
And, like, the thing I can't help but notice...
Extremely naked.
What is extremely naked?
Completely. He's completely naked except for a necklace. And I gotta say, man, the censor bubble does not do him justice.
Yeah.
He's walking around with like a $50 coin.
What am I supposed to cover with that?
Are you making fun of me? cold water, I guess. I don't know.
He was in the pool.
With that said, though, the thing I can't help but notice is how quickly Guts gets in on it. Like, gets in on the joke or the bit, so to say. It really does feel like this is a safe and good place for Guts.
Mhm.
And it's one of those ones where like this is a false high. We know, like not even in the sense of like through cultural osmosis, we know like things that happen later just because Berserk is so iconic, but we've seen the future. We've
It-
seen
It
where
explicitly
this
tells
ends.
you this guy becomes a demon lord, and you're like, how on earth does that happen? Well, don't worry. As they're both relaxing from their homoerotic splash fight, we get a nice little bit of like, oh no. Hey, Griffiths, what's that necklace about?
Oh, this necklace? Why, it's pretty interesting, isn't it? It's called the Bellet.
Gesundheit.
Did I just hear thunder?
Wait, hold on. Does that happen every time you say hit? Bellet. Bellet.
Man, what is the weather today?
Anyway, Griffith is talking about how he bought it off a gypsy, and it's like, whoever possesses this is destined to obtain the world in exchange for his own flesh and blood. Obtain the world, huh? Let me take a look at that. And then one of the little eyes on it opens up.
And Guts recoils because that is the reaction you should have when someone's flesh necklace looks at you.
Is that what we're calling it nowadays?
Isn't it cool? It's almost like it's alive. What? Neat, huh? Yeah, sure.
So is that a red flag?
Crimson.
No, it's a necklace.
The frickin' panel of Griffith's huge smiling face holding up the behelit, going, neat, huh?
He is asking like, what do you want that for? He's just like, I've always dreamed of a kingdom of my own, Guts.
This is my conviction, why I fight for these victories on the battlefield. I will get my own kingdom. She stands there, ass naked, over Griffith.
And you're like, oh man, what a sweet scene between these two potential lovers. And then Griffith has to ruin it by going, by the way, I do still own you, and I will decide the moment of your death. I'm sorry, what?
Guts is just contemplating that, thinking about how insane this situation is. But hey, at least he's got something resembling friends here.
Yeah. And surprisingly, and what a weird coincidence, after having a naked splash fight with his boss, he gets promoted.
And in the excitement to tell him the good news, Rickert knocks him into the moat, and Guts is just left sitting there in the moat like it's a wet kind of day. That thus ends our reading.
We get a little bit of a time skip to when they're 18, but that's literally just setting up the next bit.
Mm-hmm. Friggin' Berserk, man.
It is an intense experience, very much intentionally, but oh boy.
So yeah, let's get down to the discussion. The seminal question. I don't like that word, considering. But
Yes, all of it.
So favorite character and favorite fight.
Ooh.
I mean, I gotta say Griffith is my favorite character.
You do.
You know, I have experienced a lot of the cultural osmosis around Berserk. I have consumed a lot of media inspired by Berserk, but I haven't actually like read it through like this or like watched it intently or anything. So this is my first chance actually experiencing Griffith beyond what I know from what I've heard. And he is so like disarming, which is crazy because I know what he is and what he does, and yet even I'm just like, he's just a silly little guy.
He can do moments of extreme violence, and he still can immediately put on a look on his face that makes you go, he's just a silly little guy, while somebody's bleeding on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, little Griffith, what are you doing?
It's unsettling, and it makes perfect sense how he could do things that happen later in the story. So that's favorite character. For me, the favorite fight, it's an iconic fight for a reason, but Guts versus Pazuzu. It's just Guts going like I'm him and immediately serving that man the biggest and final ass whooping of his life. I know it's purely there to just make the cool main character look cool. I don't care. I'm not immune to that propaganda. It was cool. And here we are. Okay, so Jacob, favorite character and favorite fight.
Honestly, the character I liked the most was definitely Guts, just because he had a lot of really great from the sense of interesting, I think, maybe note, character development and seeing how his story played out. But boy, here's a case where favorite character isn't necessarily someone that you like as a person or condone any of the actions of. But man, Gambino was so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that he is a nuanced, full and complete person, and yet that isn't done to humanize him. It's done to double down on how awful he actually is. He can do nice things, but that doesn't mean anything because he's still a selfish asshole who will either do nice things because it doesn't affect him or because it benefits him, never for the sake of being a good person. Seeing him he's spiraling the whole time, but that sort of false high of believing that maybe he's going to turn into an Obi-Wan figure and die tragic helping Guts in some way, only for everything about him to make everything in Guts' life worse, because that fundamentally is how some people are, is the one of the most memorable parts of the reading for me. As for favorite fight, Guts versus the Wolves.
That's a good one.
I also like when a dog dies on every page.
I know, I'm positively talking about the one where 2 doggos die. Who am I? So, one thing that I think is worth noting that we breeze through because this is the sort of thing that should be experienced by actually, reading the manga. Man, all the fights in this were amazing. Wow. The paneling, the choreography, spectacular. So, because that applies to all of them, what's probably the best fight in terms of overall choreography and enjoyment of the fight is probably Guts versus Griffith. The thing I really liked about Guts versus the Wolves was how it solidified that sort of you want to live and that's good theming that was present in the Black Swordsman, and sort of a undercurrent, bringing it to the surface and really illustrating it. The surprise at Guts's counterattack when the first wolf lunged, the fact that he didn't even realize he did it until the wolf actually dropped. That I feel it was not just a cool, sword stroke panel in a fighting, in a series of fighting in it, but also was a very thematically strong moment that in a lot of ways, like Gambino, really stuck with me. It is sad that the doggos did not make it.
Yes, that is a shame.
They did start it.
They did start. Yeah.
They were on. They followed the round and find out chart.
Yeah, that's the rule of nature. Doesn't mean I have to like the doggos not being okay, but yeah, that's my favorite fight.
It's okay. The 3 who left did have to tell the wives and children that the other 2 were.
Did have to tell the puppies back at the den.
No. Oh.
And now those pups will swear revenge against Guts and follow him as their reason for living.
Well, no, because unfortunately they didn't bring any food back, so they starved.
Christ, man.
I'm sorry. Is the wolves starving to death too dark for this manga?
I have to quit this series. It's too much.
see our previous. So yeah, how about you, Matt? Favorite character and favorite fight?
I got to go with Griffith because my boy chews the scenery wherever he is. He is the existence of this manga. He revitalized it. And favorite fight, I got to go naked water fight between Guts and Griffith.
Damn it.
Excellent choices, both.
Damn it.
Did he just steal your?
Yes. God damn it.
Jay, we both have superior taste. That's all that means.
You both made the correct choice.
Yeah, I really don't have anything too new to add. I guess another one of my favorite characters other than Griffith, because Griffith is just amazing, would be, I don't know his name, Judo? I don't know why. Judo.
Judea?
Judo.
Judo? Okay.
Not
Judo
Judo Chop.
Ashta.
Judo Chop.
Is it Judas? Because I got some theories about that character then.
I don't think he's a good guy. But yeah, he didn't do much, but he did kind of plot dump, and I appreciate that.
Just walked up into the middle of the scene, dropped trow, and left a nice juicy plot dump.
Yep.
Sometimes that's all you need.
What is happening in this episode?
When all you've had is contextless violence.
Yep. Sometimes you just need a good plot dump.
Keeps you regular.
Yep. As far as my favorite fight, this one's actually hard because I have two. I appreciate the back and forth he had with Gambino. I combine like the raids and his just general mercenarying as a child mostly was my favorite.
A fan of child soldiers. Gotcha.
Okay, I wouldn't immediately connect that, but okay.
So now that we have some more context for the man we met in the Black Swordsman arc, Guts, am I right?
It's one of those ones where, boy, a lot of his character traits make a lot more sense. I could have guessed basically everything other than the details about what we saw, but like, it's Berserk, so it doesn't cut away from it. It makes you experience it directly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't say anything about it is a surprise other than the fact that, like, obviously it's shocking that the story goes as far as it does. But then again, that is also sort of Berserk's claim to fame, is that, it is that uncompromising.
Yeah. The complete lack of anything like a fade to black.
Yeah, it doesn't cut around anything, and it's pretty easy. One of the strongest moments I think from the Black Swordsman arc is that moment where Guts at first imparts the right lesson and then the wrong lesson onto someone who's been a victim of trauma and violence, and seeing that he knows there's a better way, but he doesn't know that better way, so he's just doing this because it's what he can write. This is his formative years. This is the experience he had growing up. It makes sense that he would, draw those conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
Swearing bloody vengeance is all he can do. It's the only thing he's ever done successfully, really.
It is, I agree, I think pretty oddly affirming that despite everything, the raw survival instinct in Guts, that desire to stay alive for perhaps even the most minor flicker that something could potentially be better at some point, it's so like ingrained that it's unconscious for him. He just does the thing he needs to do to stay alive. And pretty
heavy stuff.
It's pretty heavy stuff.
Yep.
So Griffith, am I right?
Yeah.
It's amazing how a character can at once be the shining point of light that gives the main character a reason and focus for his drive and will to survive, and yet also so obviously be the BBEG at the same time.
The worst guy, yeah.
Because, there's that thing about how it's mentioned that it's like in one moment he has a face like a child, and in another he has a face like a supervillain. Like, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. It's not phrased that way, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's believable, too, because it's like he's a scenery-chewing whack job, but, like, he fits in that world because it is a world of extremes.
Mm-hmm. And as I said before, it just goes to show how suddenly the idea that this guy could become a demon lord doesn't seem so insane.
Nope. Pretty boys becoming demon lords, it happens every day.
Yeah, basically. If you don't have that, it's not.
You're like, he's too pretty. He must be evil.
I'd be more surprised if Pippin became a demon lord.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. All right, and the final question: would you continue reading? I'm literally already like halfway through chapter 20. Yeah.
So absolutely not. After you made that connection that the puppies died, you just can't.
All right, Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I'd continue reading. This has been fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. And Jacob.
Yeah, I definitely continue reading. You do have to be in the right headspace, but as dark as it gets, it's, I mean, there's not like a huge like barrier. Berserk is very overt about what you're getting into, so it's easy to prep yourself for it.
I'd say tonally, if you're okay with the insane hyper violence of Berserk, things get serious, but they never really get more egregious than that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't just I know it's false. It has to be false outrage because I'm like, I don't know. People's reaction to the ultra violence that is Berserk is kind of just baffling to me because that is, when I first started reading manga, that is what it was marketed as. So
it's dark
like
fantasy.
Water is wet. Duh.
Blood is wet. What do you want?
Grass grows, birds fly, fish swim, and brother, Berserk has atrocities in it.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm going to be honest. I've only ever seen one person complain about Berserk, and I'm pretty sure they were just doing it for Twitter outrage points. So
Probably.
Lucky you. It turned into a thing. I had to block these people.
Oh.
Speaking of Twitter, make sure to follow us on that at OverMangaCast. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and probably something else. I don't know. I don't do the socials.
We are also on YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe. The episodes are on a 2-week delay there, but we also have overmangacast.com. You can also give us comments there if you want to give us any thoughts or feedback on individual episodes.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to give us reviews overall, we appreciate those in any and all form, wherever you can find a place to do so. Or you can reach out and email us at overmangacast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you, especially because you might have noticed we got a special episode number coming up. Little bit of a anniversary, if you would. Except it's not based on date. It's literally just arbitrary numbers. It's episode 100, everybody.
Thank you all so much for your continued support. Getting to this point has been a ton of fun. This podcast is awesome, and I can't wait to see what are we doing for episode 100. Oh,
Hey.
right. Don't I have that thing next week?
Yeah, it is a pity we won't get one of our hosts on for the 100th episode.
Well, if we were to be short one host, it better be Sam.
Why? What are you guys doing?
We're going back for even more of the most popular manga that's ever been written, and there is literally no comparison to anything else. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, chapter 45 through 70.
Not part 2! You can't keep doing this to me!
We can and we will.
No!
Well,
What a weird way for him to leave the call. But yeah, I guess good night, everybody.
yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
I will have my revenge.
Bring it.